Hey guys, it's a brand new day. Finally get a chance to put this system together. We're at my office now, where I am pretty much going to put you guys through how I'm going to set this up. Okay guys, forgive the glare on the desk. It's from my lights. They're right there, really bright. Sorry about that. Right. Yeah, this is everything here is directly from Amazon. So everything here is shipped from Amazon, and these are all the parts I needed to replace, essentially. This one's open because it came first, and I checked it out because the box was a bit beat up, but everything else arrived in pristine position. So this particular box came through DHL. This one came through UPS. So UPS was good. DHL got my box banged up, but Amazon had everything else fine. I believe DHL actually opened the original Amazon packaging that was in. This stuff came through Enermax. And they had everything in the original Amazon box, which I showed you earlier. So things are fine. So what I've got here is my GeForce GTX 1080. That's my graphics card. 32 gigabytes of DDR3 Ram. Vengeance, low profile, Corsair. Yeah, 3000 megahertz. My Core i7, like I said earlier. This is an i7 8700K with the 1151 socket. There we go. This is the new motherboard. It's a Z370A. So this is the motherboard that takes a 1151 socket, I believe. Yes. And this one works with the 8th generation Core i7s. It does not work with the 7th or anything before that. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that means my friend won't be able to test his CPU on it, but he should be able to test everything else. This is some thermal paste for the processor. This is my new water cooling system for my 1151 socket. I do believe my current air cooling system should work just fine with an 1151 socket, but I'm not sure. But I decided to go water cooling just for that little extra cooling. And then finally, my 750 watt Corsair power supply. I ordered this first because I thought maybe my power supply was the issue with my PC, where it turns out it might be my motherboard. So now this is going to be, hopefully everything works. Hopefully it's not something else. Yeah, I mean, this is basically everything, so it's likely not going to be anything else. So, yeah. So this is my old build. It's a Fractal Define R4 case. I bought it in 2012 when it was a pretty hot piece of tech. It doesn't have any glass panels or lights, but it's highly modular, has a lot of space, and has a couple decent cable management options, so I'm sure there's no need to change this at all. So this is inside the case, where you can see all the parts of my old build. I've got a lot of bays. It can hold about 8 3.5 inch drives, but other than that, there's nothing interesting there. Here is my old board, the MSI Z77 Empower. That's the board that seems to be fried, rendering my old build useless. Was a great board though. This is a Gigabyte Radeon 7870 graphics card. Wasn't exactly top of the line when I bought it in 2012, but it plays most 1080p games just fine without any issues. Played most games with a mix of mid to high and ultra using whatever settings I was willing to sacrifice at the time, but it's kind of dated for today. Here is my 2TB Seagate HDD and a couple drive bays. Above it is my 320GB Samsung SSD. I don't remember the read-write speeds, and that's about that. This is my Enermax CPU cooler. Yep, that's what that is. And underneath is the CPU, which I will show when I take it apart. Right next to it, I've got a 32 gigabytes of DDR3 Ram, which I've matched with my new config in DDR4 RAM. And of course, I've got a bunch of interesting I/O there. It was actually quite convenient. It had Bluetooth, it had Wi-Fi, and a bunch of USB 3.1 ports, amongst others. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi module stopped being supported in Windows 10. The new board doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I was a bit hasty to order, but yeah, I'll drop links to all the new stuff in the description below. All my old stuff is still valid with the exception of the motherboard, so hit me up in the comments if you're interested in copying my spare parts. So my friend, my buddy Emmanuel's finally here.
It was good.
We're finally gonna set this thing up. We finally cleared everything out of here. There it is. And we are gonna get to work. Hi guys, so I finished my build yesterday. It's looking pretty good. Finally kind of installed a bunch of stuff in it today. Today we'll get to look at the finished product, so I'll show you guys that in a bit. I'm pretty excited about it. Went pretty well, and I've also cleaned up my office quite a bit, so you know, things are looking good. But I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I want to walk you through what I did here, but first and foremost, this is my new build, so voila! I've installed a GTX 1080 graphics card, an Intel Core i7-8700K CPU, which is cooled by this Corsair water cooler H100i. That proved to be rather difficult because I hadn't planned for what having a radio would mean for my system, but I was able to sort it out without getting extra parts, so that makes me quite happy. Then I've got 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, upgradable to 64 gigabytes. Here I've got my hard drive bay, which needed some heavy modding. This radiator is meant to be top mounted, not front mounted. However, the radiator was too small to be mounted to the top of my case, so I had to mount it in the front. Mounting at the front meant I had to remove the top 5 hard drive bays and rotate the bottom 3 to the side to make room for the radiator. I didn't think about it, I should have done some research, but Fractal, who made my case, did an awesome job making it modular and accounting for a radiator build, though I did have to make some concessions. Finally, this is my PSU. It's also Corsair at 750 watts. It is not modular, which was probably also a bad idea, as I now have cable management issues with all these unused wires and the back of the case. Can't accommodate all these extra cables, but so far so good. And that's it for the explanation for my build, and I hope you guys like it. Hope you guys get out there and build your own builds. Okay, finally, we've got a computer screen and everything. Oops, that was probably not the best thing. We've got a computer screen and everything. So, a moment of truth. Will it post? The fans are spinning. Well, one of the fans is spinning. Both fans are spinning. Fans down here are spinning. And we've got a post. Yes. It looks like we are good.